Hi there. This video is going to be slightly different from my regular videos. This video is going to be the first in a series
that I definitely intend on finishing
that covers how to play Space Station 13. Many people find the near vertical learning curve of Space Station 13 to be intimidating, and rightfully so. It's scary to load up a new multiplayer game and have no idea what you're doing. When I first started playing, I was definitely afraid of getting yelled at by other players for not knowing what to do or how to do it. I was also afraid of getting banned for some innocuous reason. Reading the lengthy ban appeal forums can also be intimidating. However, those fears were unfounded, and most servers on Space Station 13 are fairly welcoming to new players, because a large majority of the player base does understand that this game is incredibly difficult to learn. In this series, I'm going to assume that you know nothing about Space Station 13. I'm not going to cover why you'd want to play Space Station 13 in this video, or even in the series. I assume if you're watching one of my streams or you've watched other videos, you'll have an idea that this is something that you want to try. I'm going to start with the basics in this first video of how to get BYOND, the engine Space Station 13 runs on, installed and set up on your computer. I'll also cover some basic movement and interaction controls. First, you'll need to get BYOND set up on your computer. To do that, you'll need to head to BYOND.com, the link will be in the description, and hit the free download button. Then click Windows and download the client. Once it's downloaded, run the installer and go through that process. Next up, back on BYOND.com, hit register and choose an account name. Make sure it's something that doesn't have any racist or bigoted language and doesn't contain the name of controversial figures. This name will be visible in OOC chat, and most server admins don't want to deal with edgy names. Fill out the rest of that form and you'll have an account name. Now in the BYOND client, you can load it up and then log in with that new account you created, and then search for Space Station 13. Once there, you can look over the servers. From here on, I'll be focusing on Goon Station servers specifically, but you can find links to wikis and instructions for other servers if you want to go down that route. I'll include some in the description. Hi there. We are now at the first screen you'll probably see when you enter Space Station 13. So after you click join in the server listing, or you click one of the join links on the wiki, for Goon Station, you'll arrive here, and the first thing you see is this changelog, and other than that, you'll see this welcome to space. This may not necessarily be the image you see. Sometimes admins put other stuff there, but you'll see something like that. Here's the tutorial link. So this is something good to click on, even after watching this video. Even just check out this tutorial. Everything's nice and written out, so it's easy to see. But we'll go ahead and just close the changelog for now. So this round's already in progress. It's only, you can see here in the status window, it's only 2 minutes in. And so let's just go through the main parts of the window of what we're looking at here. So we have these new player options. We'll get into that in a minute. The basic components are, this is your big view window here. This is where you're going to be seeing all the action. On the right here, you basically have these two windows. And this top one, you have status, commands, local. These are just different commands that you have. We don't have much right now because we're not actually in the game. I usually just keep this on status. Usually you won't need to go in here, because all these different commands usually have hotkeys. Some of them, you just don't really need to worry about. And then local, these actually aren't even available yet because we haven't entered the game. So I usually just keep that on status. It's good to know when the shuttle's coming. You can also change the size of this, so you can make this smaller, which can be nice. Because this window is the chat window. This is where you're going to be seeing your status updates, stuff other people are doing, announcements, any kind of chat, radio chat, local chat, anything that people are doing. If they're clubbing you over the head with a toolbox, you'll see a message here. You also see stuff going on in the view window, of course, as well. And also, it's nice here that, at least on Goon Station, you actually have these are links up here that can take you to various places. So, you can go to the Goon Station Discord or the forum or the wiki. I highly recommend the wiki for reading about stuff on your own. And that's basically the layout of the window when you first get in. Next part is before you actually go and like declare ready, and that's when you're going to actually be going into the game. We want to go to character setup first because there's a few things we got to look at in here. So this is my character, Stanley Czar. And the first thing you'll see is that up here we have profiles. You always start on profile 1. So if you make multiple profiles, profile 1's always going to be the one that starts up. So I'd recommend like your most common settings, the most common character you want to play should be profile 1. And then you have other profiles. You see I've got two, I've got no command jobs here. That one has like no command jobs, no antagonists selected. And that's just if I would just want to play, but I'm like thinking I'm going to have to get called away or something. It's just nice to not have any of that responsibility. Not that there's much responsibility with command jobs even. Some of them do, though, have responsibility attached. So I'm just going to walk through the basic parts of this. So you have profile 1, so you can load. If you make changes, you can save them here. You can also save them to other profiles. So like if I want to make this, I could just click save here. And now it's saved it a default profile over here. This is the name. So I can change this to, something else. Profile. Profile. How come I can't spell today? Profile 3. Let's say. Hit submit. And then I can save this here. Now this is saved to profile slot 3. So you name your profile here. And then down here you have your name. I would recommend just making a name up, but that's only if you want people to know who you are. If you want people to like learn who you are round by round, it's good to have a consistent name because that's the only way people will know. Otherwise, you can always tick this random box over here, and that'll just give you a randomly generated name every round. And that can be useful if you just don't want people to know who you are round by round. Gender, of course, that's self-explanatory. Can be male or female. Pronouns, you can set your pronouns. Age, so you just type any number here. 20 to 80. Oh, you could be 80 if you want. I wouldn't be 80 years old on the station. Blood type, this is not used for anything right now. Some servers do use it for stuff, but just leave it on. Bank pin is just random. It's okay to just leave this random because it'll usually auto-populate for you when you go to use a bank machine, and we'll cover that later. But for now, just leave it random. You can actually enter in like flavor text and like a medical note and security notes and syndicate intelligence. So that can be nice. If there's like, you just want to add a little like spice to your character. This mainly be used on the RP server. It won't really be used on general server. Nobody reads these on the general server. Other names, you got preferred cyborg names. So I got Discount Dave there. It's usually my cyborg name. And then you have some other little custom things here. Like you got a PDA ringtone, which you can like set to something else. And there's like all kinds of different ones. My goodness. Could preview it. Which isn't working for me. Oh, there we go. And then you also change your PDA background color. So mine's orange. You can change that. I wonder what happens if you set it to black. I'm not going to find out right now. So that's your general tab for your character setup. So you fill out all this stuff. Then you can go to appearance. This is where you can actually set like your skin color, your eye color. You can set like different kinds of hair. There's all different kinds of stuff. I don't know what special style is. I've never seen that before. So yeah, you can set all kinds of stuff. You can set your fart noise because, that's important. And yeah, so just different stuff here. You can experiment with this stuff. You can also just tick this random appearance thing. If you just always want your appearance to be different, that's fine too. And you have these little arrows here. You can see get your dude to do a little twirl. Oh, check him out. Oh my goodness. So yeah. Yeah. So there's lots of different customization options here. And then we'll get to the occupation tab here. So this is where you're going to be selecting like the job that you want to start as. Or, you know, on a new round, like the server's going to go through everybody's job preferences and try to assign everybody what they want. So the favorite job is like the one job you want to have. If you're new, I recommend setting that to staff assistant. You do that just by taking staff assistant, just clicking the arrow. They'll all start out here when you first start. And then you'll just click the left arrow to go here and then up. And and I think all these start out turned off, and I would leave that turned off. I wouldn't turn these on when you're starting out, because you still got to learn the controls and stuff. It's going to be pretty hard to be an antagonist when you're still trying to learn how to pick up stuff, that kind of thing. So yeah, when you're done selecting stuff, you can just hit back to setup. Takes you back here. And you'll notice the save is highlighted here. So if you were just setting this up and and you want it to be like the same for all the future times, you would hit that button. That would save it into your profile. But I don't, so I'm not going to do that. And it can also be useful like just for setting a job like for one round. So you're joining at the round start, and you'll know that at the round start there'll be a little counter, big green counter down here. You've probably seen it on some of my streams and videos. That means the round hasn't started yet. That's the only time when that occupation tab is used, is when the round starts. Otherwise, you'll see how we select our occupation in a round that's already in progress. All right, so let's move on to traits. So traits, there's all kinds of traits available. You start with 1 point that you can spend. And the idea is that you can't go below 0. So beneficial traits will have -1. Like, for example, I got survivalist here, which means food will heal me even when I'm injured. So that's useful. I also have robotic arms. I don't know. I want to have robotic arms. So there it is. That's a 0. So it's not beneficial or harmful. So you can get quite a few of these. And there's all kinds of different ones. I would just go through them just to see what they all do. There's tons. There's like accents, there's skills, you can be different species, you can have like different stats, you can have different little trinkets. You can take harmful ones to get points, like for example hyperallergenic is +1, so that means I would get a point. I could use that point to spend on a -1 trait, let's say. So but of course you got to read these because some of them are pretty crazy. This one says you have a severe sensitivity to allergens and are liable to slip into anaphylactic shock upon exposure. So this would be really bad if you took this and like got stung by a space wasp or something, because you would basically just be knocked unconscious. Got to watch out for some of these. Some of these +1 ones are pretty bad. Some are not so bad. I mean, stowaway, you basically spawn without an ID, a PDA, or entry in the NT record. So this basically just means you have to visit the HOP at round start. Of course, if you're late joining a round, it could be pretty difficult because sometimes he goes missing. So that's the traits tab. Let's take a look at game settings. And you got a few different things here. You got a pop-up font size. I don't know what this does. I just leave it at default. You can like turn off displaying OOC chats. I wouldn't do that. I would definitely leave C chat above people's heads on, because that actually really does help you to see what people are saying. I remember in the old times you would have to continually be looking down here just to see what people were saying to you. Got different themes, so you can like change this to there's a few different themes. Targeting cursors, you can change this, so whenever you have to target something, it'll show up as a different cursor. I think this cursor's fine. A lot of these you can just leave alone, really. And then cloud saves, I don't really know what this does. I made one because I was trying to find out what it does, and I don't quite understand. Because I think all the profiles are not local to the machine. I think they're local to the server. So I don't know why you would need a cloud save, but I've never really looked into this tab that much. Which, I mean, I've been playing this for, probably over 10 years, and I've never had to use this tab. This tab wasn't even always here. I have no idea what it does. So I'd just leave it alone. And that's about it. That is character setup. That's just going through all the basic character setup stuff. Feel free to click around, explore stuff. You won't break anything in here. Nothing that's not fixable. Yeah, that'll be it for character setup. say you're now ready to go into the game, you can hit this declare ready button. And as you see, we're joining a round late. If you weren't joining around late, there's like a big counter down here. Then when you hit declare ready, nothing really happens. It's just going to wait for the round to start. And your job will be based on that occupation screen that we saw already. But because this round we're late joining, we hit declare ready. We get two things. First, we get the space bucks thing. You can just close this. Don't worry about it right now. There's a lot of different little things in here, but you probably won't have any space bucks to spend, so just close it. I'll explain space bucks probably in another video. So just close that. So as you can see now, it says you are joining a round in progress. Please choose from one of the remaining open positions. So now you can choose any of these. Like, for example, head of personnel is still open, so I could join the round as that, or chef or rancher. I'd recommend just joining as either the staff assistant, or you could always join as one of these gimmick ones, except for if you see NT security consultants there, don't join as that one, because basically then you're a member of security, and security is a job that has a lot of responsibility. So definitely don't join that one. But otherwise, yeah, you can join as like the clown or the mime or one of these ones. I'd recommend just staff assistant to join when you're first learning. All right, I'm going to go ahead and join this round in progress. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to join as a staff assistant. And when you start out, you're going to be in this. This is the arrival shuttle. This is just where you spawn when you're new, when you're first joining a round, and it's in progress. You always spawn in the arrival shuttle. If you're joining at the beginning of a round, then you usually spawn in your workspace. Usually, there's one map, I can't remember which one it is, where you spawn in crew quarters, but yeah, usually be in your workspace. And it is okay to just spend some time here learning like how to pick up stuff. There's lots of stuff here to interact with. You can pick up stuff. You can put stuff down. There's a table here. You can practice putting stuff on tables. There's an intercom. Practice interacting with things. There's a friendly pod out there. I don't know. Don't worry about that. That probably won't be on your game. I'm just going to talk a little bit about moving around. So movement is done through WSAD. So W is north, S is south, A is left, D is right. You can get to WASD controls by clicking Game at the top, and then going to Interface here, and then you can click Use WASD controls. That's just moving around. So left, right, A is left, D is right, W is up, S is down. So that's just how you can move around. So, this is just basic moving around. Picking up stuff. Let's look at our interface here. So we have all of our stuff here. Now I actually have my inventory open already. I think a lot of times it starts out closed. You can just use this INV button, just click on it to open and close it. And I usually prefer to leave it open. And you have your two hands here, as well as all your inventory slots. So let's just go through them. We got our right hand, left hand, got our backpack slot, which has our backpack in it. Got one pocket that has $100 or $120. Got another pocket that's empty. Belt slot that has our PDA right now. Got our foot slot, has our shoes. These are hand slots, so if you're wearing gloves, these will go here. This is your ID slot. This is just where doors and stuff read your ID from. And you got your jumpsuit slot. So we have our staff assistant jumpsuit. Coat slot. This is like, or I think it's called exosuit or something. If you wear a space suit or a coat, that'll be here. Got your glasses slot. So this could contain like a scanner, an optical scanner that you have, or just some sunglasses, something like that. Headset slot, which has our civilian headset. This is our mask slot. So mask slot is going to have basically like a gas mask or a breath mask. Clown mask also shows up here. And then we have our helmet slot or head slot. This is where like a helmet or a space helmet or something like that would go. So those are all your inventory slots. So for example, we come over here. So we got these gloves here. What are these? Fingerless gloves. If you see anything in the world you want to pick up, you just make sure that your hand's empty. So our right hand is empty. Click on these. Now we see that they're in our hand. Now we want to put these on. So we then click on our glove slot. and it puts them there. And that's basically how you equip anything. So you see anything around in the world that you want to equip. So for example, we got some emergency suits here. So we click one, it's in our hand. We click here, it's in our suit slot. And you need the helmet with it. So another thing you do is right click. So if you right click, you see there's a big stack of items here. I can't really tell what's what. So I just right click and you have all the items in a list. So we want the hood. Let's say that's the top part of the emergency suit. So you mouse over it and then you have an option to pick it up. So we pick it up. Now it's in our hand. And now this time I'm going to use a hotkey to equip it. So I'm not going to click over here. I'm just going to press V and V equips it. So that's a quick way of equipping items. You can do it for most items, like breath mask, for example. I picked up that breath mask, and now I press V, and now it's in my mask slot, right? So another thing is, let's say you want to unequip something. So for example, I got my ID card here. Let's say I want to grab that. I can just click on it. There's no hotkey for that. You got to just click on it. Now it's in my hand. Now, one thing that a lot of people will do is they'll take their card and put it in their PDA. So let's do that. So now we're going to put it in our PDA. So we click the PDA with the card in our hand, and now it's inserted into the PDA. And why would we want to do that? Well, now we can take our PDA, so we click on that, and then put it in our ID card slot. So what this does is this actually frees up our belt slot to be used for something else, like a gun or a belt pouch or a tool belt or something like that. So it can give you a lot more inventory space to do that. So you also notice that with the suit on, we move a lot slower. And that's pretty standard. Pretty much all spacesuits result in you walking slower, but the emergency suit's the worst one. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off. So I just click on it to take it off. Now let's just say I want to put it on this table. I can just click on the table and it puts it there. And then let's say I want to take my helmet. So take my helmet off. I can just click on the table and put it there. And that's just basically how you put stuff on tables or in lockers. Lockers a little bit different because I don't think you can actually click on the lock. Never mind, you can. You can click on lockers and put it in there too. Now another thing is sometimes you just want to throw stuff on the floor. You can press Q. Q drops whatever's in your hand. So if you press Q and you have your hand selected, it's going to drop. So there we go. Pick up the radio, and drop it. You'll notice I've only been using my right hand. So we can hold the toolbox, let's say, in one hand. And now we can switch to other hand by clicking on it. And now we can pick up, say, this book. So now we've got both our hands are full. We've got a book in our left hand and a toolbox in our right hand. I'll go ahead and drop the book. Now, one thing you can do is press Q. Just drops the book. And now, if I want to switch my hands, you can press E. And that E will just switch to the other hand. So if I'm in my left hand right now, I press E, switches to the right hand. In my right hand, press E, switches to the left hand. So I'll go ahead and drop the toolbox. And that's just pressing Q to drop the toolbox. So that is the basics of like interacting with objects, small handheld objects. So now we have larger objects. We have these sleepers here, right? We can left click on these. And you'll see it just brings up an interface. There's nobody in the sleeper right now, so there's not much you can do. But that's how you interact with large objects like vending machines or sleepers. We have an intercom here, so we can kind of get to the side of the table and click this, and it brings up the intercom. So we can change stuff there. So that's basically just using large objects. Lockers, for example, if you click on any part of the locker, like the door here, for example, you close the locker. You can also open the locker. If you even click up here, it closes the locker and opens it. So that's just how you can open and close like lockers, interact with larger machines, that kind of thing. So that is the basics of using larger objects. Now we also have like these station bounced radios. These are like larger radios. These you can actually use by holding them in your hand and then clicking on them. And it brings up the same as that intercom interface. So you can, change the frequency. You can turn on the microphone so that everybody can hear it, that kind of thing. So we'll close that. And then we can just put it on here. This also works for toolbox. If you pick up the toolbox and then click on the toolbox, even though this hand's active, it'll bring up the inventory. Now, if you want to take something out of the toolbox, you got to switch hands by pressing E. And now actually you can like take out the fire extinguisher, put it back in, take out the radio or put it back in. You know, take this oxygen tank and put that in there, right? And then you can put the toolbox back on the table. All right, and then the last thing that we're going to cover is just talking, right? So if you want to talk, the easiest way is to press the T key. I'm not even going to go through the long way of doing it. The T key is the easiest way. So you press T, you get this little box that says, say some text. You can just say hello. And you press enter. And you see my person says hello, right? Now you see these people you see all this green text here? These are people talking on the radio. You see it gives you their headset, like this is chief engineer. And he's talking about CO2 flood in the cargo hallway. Okay, well, that's not good. So that's a chief engineer, right? You see these people have med here. That's medical headsets. Civ is a civilian headset. That could be anything from a botanist to a staff assistant to the bartender. Like Civ is just kind of pretty much anything else. Fault here, that's a cyborg. It says he's an engineer, but you ever see this little like staticky screen thing? That's a cyborg. You also see these announcements. These are done through announcement computers. So we won't worry about announcements right now. We'll cover those later. But if you want to talk on the radio, you can always press Y. When you press Y, you get general and civilian. So as a staff assistant, these are the only two you have. So general is just this 145.9. This is like the radio that everybody has access to. Civilian is basically only to like the botanist and the bartender, the civilian jobs. And all you do is you just pick one, you hit OK, and then you type into this box and hit OK. I'm not going to type anything. Or you press enter actually. And let's say you change your mind, you don't want to say anything, you just hit cancel. And that about does it for our basic controls. This will be enough to at least get you in the game, walking around, doing stuff, being able to follow instructions from like mentors and stuff when you have other questions. If you have questions when you're in the game, you can press F3. F3 brings up mentor help. So you can enter a help request to the mentors, and when you enter it, it'll get sent off to them. They can respond to you and help walk you through stuff. If you see somebody like breaking the rules or you suspect somebody's griefing you or something, you can press F1. That'll be the admin help. Admin help is mainly just to report like rule violations, ask questions about the rules, that kind of thing. And that will be about it for this video. So if you have any questions or you have anything you'd like some clarification on, you can leave a comment. I can respond to you there. I have a Discord now, so you can always hop in Discord, ask me there. And otherwise, I will be back with another Let's Learn Space Station 13 video soon, where we'll cover some of the other good beginner jobs and kind of the different mechanics they have. Bye for now.